Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do in this video is have a bit of a familiarization session on WaveFusion. So we're going to start from logging in, what you see as you get into the site manager. Then we're going to have a little explore around the configuration and the user settings. So we're going to take our time and just step through. So WaveFusion is a web-based tool. You'll be able to get to it by going to app.wavestore.com. There are various, design stages to this. So we have a design environment, we have a staging environment, and a production environment. So right now I'm going to walk you through our staging environment. So it's a little bit more stable than design, though every now and then there's a nice surprise to encounter as our developers work on new stuff, because our roadmap is continually going along. So, without further ado, let's get logged in. So the first screen you're presented with when you go to the relevant web page is the login screen. Here you'll be able to log in with your credentials. These will be provided to you for your first login, or you can request to sign up, and your account manager, your site manager, will be able to give credentials. So let's hit login so we can get into the screen. So the first screen that you're presented with when you get into WaveFusion is an overview of sites. So let's remember this. So WaveFusion allows you to look at different sites, and these sites can be physical locations anywhere in the world. So right here we've got a card representing each site. We've got Blind Spot, which is a site based in Canada. We've got a IC West, a site based in Vegas, and we've got this marketing site, a site based in the UK. At a glance on each of these cards, you can see that it gives you an indication of the number of people that are registered for that site for an access control perspective. It gives you a view of the number of administrators that are responsible for that site. It also gives you a view of the number of cameras that are sort of assigned to that site. So like on this one, there's 0, and the number of readers. So immediately you get some statistics around, the overall health and composition of your site, whether it's more an access site, a video site, or a combination of both. You can see on the cards here that there's color-coded for healthy fault and warning. So this is almost like a type of health monitoring system as well. Our dev guys on Fusion have been keen to sort of make views and whatnot flexible. So whilst a card view works for some, other people may prefer a list view. So that can be obtained by going through these icons on the top. In a list view, it's the same information, but just presented in table format. So we can see our people, users, cameras, and readers across the top, as well as the health status down below. If you have sites that are a bit more dynamic and you need to go around the world, you can also put in the latitude and longitude of your site coordinates. So in this instance, what we can do is hit Blind Spot, and it will zoom into where our site is located in Canada. We can head over to IC West. It will zoom out over to IC West. And then also we can get a view of, our marketing site. So we'll head back over to the UK. When you're on a site and it's zooming in to wherever you need to be, you can click on that site and it will take you to that site's landing page. So from any of those menus, so let's just recap. Let's go back to the site manager screen. I can enter any site by clicking on the card to get to the site. I can click on the table item to get to the site, or I can use the globe view to jump into the site. We've had feedback from people that the globe view is really well appreciated by those people that manage sites that have a real geographic spread. So you can see at a glance if you've got different servers or controllers located over a country, you can quickly drop in and see what's at risk and what's not. So that's a little bit. That concludes the general login and what you see first. So what I'll now look at is how a site typically looks. I mean, I'm now on the marketing site, and you may have recalled that the marketing site was flagged as amber. That's because we've got the situation where some streams are working, some streams are not, and it looks like here that my server in Ottawa, so I've got a Canadian server, is offline, which is why these streams aren't coming through. So let's park that to one side a bit. And let's sort of reflect as, I guess, an installer or a seller of this product, how we get to this point here of getting a good overview. So let's work from the inside out. Let's flip over to the configuration screen. So the way I like to think of the configuration screen is very much like building up like your ideal pizza or ideal cake. You start with your base layer and you work your way through the list to refine your options. So through this configuration layer, that's where you can add your video servers, your controllers, readers, cameras, and your inputs and outputs. You can do that individually, or you can do that dynamically through the interface. One of the really good features about Fusion is it's been thought about with the installer in mind. So if you wired in a controller, for instance, on the access side, you can essentially click on this auto detect feature, and that will it will go away and discover the connections and what's connected to that particular controller on your network. So what this means is you can get to the field, people can connect the cable in, you can come back away, and then you can hit the button and it will detect, and you can configure from that point. So in this instance, we've got a controller. It's only got one interface, which is to the reader, and our reader is sort of defined and set up on there. Likewise, you can build up your other inputs, outputs, and the like through this view. Just to give you a view of what it's like when you are adding a reader or setting the settings of a reader, it's in this sort of view where you can add your door contacts, your exit mode, strikes, any schedules, and any sort of secondary reader for your exit profiles. So there's various ways that you can get into the details here. In this instance, we've just got a simple reader and a simple request to exit button set up. So I'm going to come out of that menu right now. Let's head back to the configuration screen and let's think about how we add a video server. So WaveStore has a great, great history in video management software. If you have one of our existing products, here for example, I had a small server called an A series. What I could do is key in that machine ID when it was on the right level of software. So if you're on the latest version of WaveView, I can essentially add the machine ID, and with a few settings, it's really quick to migrate from, the traditional WaveView platform into WaveFusion. Bringing a server in this format will also bring your cameras that you have assigned and viewed in your WaveView into WaveFusion, so you've got a seamless migration pathway. Something else that we're working on with WaveFusion is, that bespoke, that from the ground up server. So you may hear a phrase of Jupyter servers. A WaveView server is known as a Venus server. Don't ask me entirely what the backstory to that is, but our geeks just like planets. So we've got Venus, which is the traditional way, and Jupiter, which is the new way. With a Jupyter server, the way that is discovered on your network, it's through the standard AES encryption ID. If you have a WaveFusion licensed Jupyter server, when that's connected to your network, it will go and hunt it down and add it to your settings. So that's how that one would work. Excuse me. So once you've gone from a point of having your servers and your controllers and your other interfaces, whether that's a reader or a camera, brought in, you can then look to sort of set up on our second layer the access management. So this is the access control, part of WaveFusion. Here is where you can outline people. So we can add people or people who want to tap in and out to the list. We can add people's credentials, and we can even design badges through this format. One of the things that one of the pieces of feedback we've had on WaveFusion is some of our features are actually people's entire product lines. So, for example, badge designing is something that you'll notice on our design tools down here, where if you want to have a badge brought to life, you can design a format, and then as you add people, you can print these badges off directly if you have the equipment. Likewise, here's another badge. You can have multiple designs loaded in at any given time. If you want to preview a badge, you can do so just by selecting the user and it will give you an idea of who's in and who's out. So there's some ideas. So that's our, I guess, our badge designer, which links to our people. But let's get back in here. So on people, we have the option to add cards, so they're valid credential. If they have I guess a keypad or a key ID, that can be added here as well. What we have with our people section is the ability for us to assign the access level, so we'll come on to that menu in a bit. And we also have the option to add additional fields. So there may be things like a company ID number or a site location number that you want to add in there as well. These are all additional fields that can be added through the people management interface. We'll now have a look at access levels. So with our access levels, we're talking, I guess this is the zones of controllers and readers and how we want people to go. This one's set up quite simply. We've got a UK access, an all access, and a my special access. So, there's not much differentiation here. But imagine you have a site where you have lots of different zones or floors. You could map these access levels out to floor if it's a floor by floor restriction that you require. Then we have schedules. So here, again, I've got a simple schedule set up for now. I always want people to tap in or not. You may have a more sort of discrete schedule that you want to add, and that can be done just by adding in the name. We'll say this is a scheduled day, so we'll have an event next week, and then on here we can add an interval, and we can sort of set the times of when we want a special event to happen. So it might be that we want everything to be unlocked at a certain time. It might be something different. So we can set up special schedules through that interface. Then we've got holidays. So, for your holiday policy, do you want it locked down? Do you want it open? You can add key holidays. Then we've got card formats. So here, because we tend to work with readers that are OSDP capable and tend to read the better specs of cards. So we have our MyFair, DesFire, COS range from HID. You can add and configure those cards here. So this is where we can keep an eye on and manage our facility codes, our lengths, and our card numbers. If you want to add a certain card type, again, it's a very easy process. What we've done with cards is we have a number of preset templates. So for our popular card formats, it's very easy to select to give you a head start. So if you're unsure of bit length for any of these particular configurations, say I want an Infinity 37-bit, it will preload with my common sort of factors, and I just need to add my facility code. So that's how we get our card formats added. I can't talk too much about this as it's coming soon. That's area control, but that's just to give us more enterprise level features when it comes to site and area management. So now let's go to our design tools layer. So in design tools, I've mentioned badges. I guess there's not too much more to say on this. Here you can configure drop-in designs and preview the badges as you see fit. The next design tool I want to comment on is floor plans. So one part of a unified security system is you want to know where things are located, whether that's a reader or a camera. So in here you have the option to upload images, so whether it's an isometric or like a screenshot of a floor plan. You can basically pre-design the floor plans that you see as a user in the monitoring section that we'll come to shortly. So here's an example where I've got a floor modeled out. I've placed my reader, I've placed a camera, I've also signified where the controller is. I can add different images for icons and add different actions to the floor plan, which we'll come on to shortly. Then we have layouts. So this is one way of entering a layout. So what a layout is it's basically a way of arranging the widgets on the user's screen. So here we go, we have a standard layout for devices, or I could have a 4-stream layout, this one's called. This is one way. We can build up layouts from, from the configuration tool, so we can design from scratch, or we can start with a template. So where you see the little lightning icon, that's where we have pre-configured templates ready to go. So you can add layouts very quickly depending on your use case. I'll just discard that one there. After layouts, we have reports. So reports, there's obviously our industry standard reports for access events and other things. So these are all pre-built in a series of templates. So if you have a certain suite of reports that you want to obtain on a regular basis, that can be configured here. When you create a report, you have the option to get that data in JSON or CSV file. Both of these formats are really friendly for if you want to do follow-on activity on the report. I made another video last week where I basically took the JSON format to create a dashboard that linked to that report data. I'm a novice at this, and there's plenty of things that you can do with, I guess, the right people at your fingertips. And then the custom fields that were mentioned here, this is what gets added to the people section. So if we have a company ID number, we might want to have a site location. What we can do is we can make sure that the fields here map what I guess the user needs. This is also a really useful feature when it comes to migrating user settings from other access control systems. So say they're moving from another Mercury-based provider, we can extract their data. They may have some custom fields on there. We can ensure those custom fields are aligned for like field mapping to make sure that data comes across seamlessly. And then we'll go on to our sort of more refined layer. So far we've talked about building the base, getting the hardware in place. We've talked about getting our people using it. We've talked about ways and means of making that more visual and usable. Then we get on to the alarm management side of things. So in this alarm management row, what we have are, I guess, three things right now. So we have our system events. So this is where we can set the priorities of events that go through to Fusion. So whether that's an access granted, whether it's a request to exit, whether it's an automation that triggers an event type as well. We can rate those events. So you have the flexibility to filter your WaveFusion view to see everything or just things of a certain priority level or above. Related to that is automations. So again, with automations, we have means to, I guess, just link to or link events to certain activities. So say a door swipe gets triggered, but it's at a certain time of day. You can set an automation up so it text or emails a user some information as an example. That's just one we've got there. Let's have a look at some of these we've got set up. So we've got here an alarm type event. So this is a trigger. So on this one, when the request to exit button is pressed, there's an alarm that pops up saying, hey, check the battery. It's a bit arbitrary, but this one's just there to demonstrate that you can create events and automations linked to different types of event that's processed in the Fusion Cloud. Notifications is one that's coming soon. I think this, well, I'll wait to hear more from our developers on what this means, so I'll just hold that thought right there. And then when we get to our administration side, this links to the sort of things that are you'd expect to see in this area. So around about the users that you can have on a site, this is like the admin user, the sort of role profiles they have, so we can define what people see through the roles. Licenses, so when if you're managing multi-sites and multi-licenses, this gives you the flexibility to port and move licenses between those different areas and track their usage. And then site settings is just some general sort of config details. So if you remember back to that site view when we first logged in, we could go to different places on the globe. This is where we can set that up, is just put our latitude, longitude in there so we can capture that geographic information. So that's a bit of a step through the configuration piece. What I'll do now is just flip back to the monitoring piece. So this is more about what the user sees. So please bear in mind I've got a couple of streams that are down right now, so hopefully that won't affect the quality of this. So I mentioned earlier that we could configure layouts from the configuration menu at the top here. What you will notice along my browser is that I have a series of layouts that here's one I made earlier, ones I've created before. So I have ones for 4 streams, I have ones for an access control stream on my floor plan. I have just a different range or a different array of layouts on different user needs. If I want to edit one of these streams, what I can do is hover over the little pencil icon, and that takes me to that screen that we saw earlier in the config menu. So it's a quicker way for a user to get to that level of customization that they need to have. Yep. So let's have a look at some of the features. So we talked about floor plans, for example, in the configuration screen, which is pretty cool. Give me one sec. Yeah, we talked about floor plans. So here on floor plans, you can do different activities. So say for our reader we've got enabled here, I can click on that reader, it can confirm what it is, I can right click on that reader, and I can simulate a card read. So let me put in one of the card numbers that you may have spotted on our people tab. So I'll just do that and hit simulate. What you'll see there now is that I've simulated my swiping of the HID Signo 40. With a floor plan, you can, as I said before, you can map other items. So they've got the controller and the camera. You can also add links to other floor plans, so you can jump between different floor plans. Some of the guys over in North America have got some really cool examples of this. If I jump into the IC West floor plan, for example, they've got the reader, they've got the ability to jump between two. What they have on their floor plan is they've gone for a holistic view. So they've gone for a Google map where you can then jump into the cameras and then jump into the actual floor detail below. So it's very customizable, very configurable to however you want to set up your site. So now let's look at a couple of other options. So one of the widgets we have is a geo widget. So if you remember on the map, on the globe view, you could zoom into a camera. When you have the geo widget enabled, you can hover over and preview your camera streams. So this is a pretty cool example of how we can, a user or an operator can just hover over different icons and get a preview of the stream of what's happening in that location. Again, a really good view for those people that have cameras located all over the place. One of the things we do have is PTZ controls built into the platform as well. So one of these cameras would typically be a PTZ camera. You could highlight that, then use this control widget to navigate around and control the PTZ. Let's have a look at another couple of layouts. So I've looked at the floor plan right there. We've got a standard device layout. This is more a traditional access control view. What are the events tapping in and out? When we are on an event, you can get more details of that event. So you can look at the metadata that the controllers or the reader and controller are passing through to the platform. If I was to look at the widget called Site Health, this is in essence like a more detailed health monitor. If when you log in, you've got the site manager, that gives you an overview of site health. Site health in this instance gives you a very much a granular lens. So here I can see at a glance my server status. I've got one online, one offline. Likewise my cameras, 2 online, 2 offline. And I can see my controllers. So my access side is working fine. If I was to click on one of these particular tabs, let's just have a look. Okay. I'll roll that one back. It's not clicking on this tab. Let me correct myself. So if I was to look at a particular layout, so say I look at my access and video layout, there's another sort of detailed health dashboard I can get to, and I know that this is something that our devs are working on right now. In fact, I need to scroll my page a little bit more so you can see, because I'm blocking it off. Let me just try this. Let's try this one. Right, so can we see the A series server there? So I appreciate I'm hovering right over it, but you can see there's 3 little dots against each of these. I can click on the 3 little dots, the burger, I guess, icon against on the A series. I can click on the health icon. And this brings me to another dashboard. This is more of a static dashboard that gives me granular views of health. And it covers things such as network, CPU and RAM usage, as well as disk usage and the like. So we've got a couple of options on this, and I'm fully convinced that as our devs work through this, this will be converged into the one screen, which will most likely be the widget screen that we looked at earlier. So I guess what else is there to say about the user layout? So with this being a browser-based tool, I guess one of the things that we could have is, say if you are a site manager and you're interested in health, you could have this tab open. If you are interested in another I guess part, let's open up a new worksheet. What we can have is a different tab for other things. So you can have tabs open in your browser to each and any of the layouts that you want. So this is one of the advantages of this being a browser-based setup. So for however you want to work, you've got that flexibility in setting it up. As a user, there's, like I said before, there's the widgets, so you can customize the look and feel of these pages. You can make sure the right information is on that you require. And overall, it's just designed to look and feel fresh and look and feel a bit different. So the other user features just to jump into, because we've talked about this area here, the main area of the screen. At the top of the screen, we had our configuration and our monitoring. I guess there's just two more areas that we need to have a little look at. So one is on the top left. So from this icon is where you can get to your other sites and back to the site manager. The status icon tells you what's occurring. So in this case, I've got a tamper on my controller. So if I had a fault, it would come up red for other things. We then have, I guess, some key features from an access control spectrum around entering lockdowns. So if you have a site and you need to lock things down, it's at a click of a button, you can enter lockdown. You'll see immediately here that the status has changed, the critical event has come through, the threat level's been set, that lockdown is there. So in environments where we need to lock things down quick and without the admin associated with it, we're there at a press of a button. Likewise, we can exit lockdown with a single click as well. The other thing to call out here is that of notifications. So say I want to get in touch with people who are on the site. I can send a message out by email or text or both to either an individual or a group of people. So let's send this to myself. I'm going to put a subject in here, demo message. I'm going to say test message 123. I'm going to hit send on that. Let's see what happens. So with this being based on Amazon Cloud, we know that in the background things are churning away immediately. What I have from the platform is my test message that's come through to my phone. So you can see it there, test message 123. And if I double check my emails on this side, I can see straight away that let's just get to the right inbox. Let's open this. I'll put it on that screen. You can see I've had that message come through to my email as well. So it's a really good comms tool that's built in as standard. On the right hand side, this is just our usual things we expect to see with I guess account management. So this is where we can access a profile, edit my details, change my password, and the account manager as well. So again, this is how I can make sure the allocation of site licenses and users is correct for I guess at the admin level. And obviously this can be restricted based on roles and the like as you go forwards. So I think that's it from WaveFusion Online. The only other thing I can think of right now is about the mobile app. I'll probably do a separate video on that, but just so you're aware, there is a WaveFusion app. You can log in the same way. At the moment, it's more access centric, so it's great for doing granting access requests. It's great for monitoring people. It's great for checking out, I guess, the local event stream. Video is hitting the app shortly, so it's on the roadmap. It's not going to be too long. It will be here very soon. So without further ado, I'd like to just thank you for bearing with me through this video. Hopefully you found it useful, And if there's absolutely any questions or anything, or any issues or thoughts that have come as a result of this, just remember, WaveFusion is in live development. It is a roadmap. Every couple of weeks on a Tuesday, our devs are getting together and having their sprint calls. If you have things that you want to see in WaveFusion, let us know. Our roadmap can be flexed based on that sort of customer need. So give me a shout, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.